Hey, this is Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises.
Stephanie from the Queen's Court.
And your boy Uncle Fulio from The Controversy. Welcome to the crossover, ladies and gentlemen. As always, these episodes are sponsored by Nothing But Knicks. Make sure you like and subscribe. Also, like and subscribe to Knicks and Bruises channel. We're doing this multi-channel simulcast live on Nothing But Knicks and Knicks and Bruises. So make sure you like and subscribe to those channels. Also, hit the notification bell to be notified of any new content we got for you, pre-game coverage, post-game coverage, crossover videos, Queens Court videos, controversy videos, the NBA report. We do it all here on MBK, ladies and gentlemen. And today what we're going to talk about is what moves the Knicks have left, ladies and gentlemen. We've seen a lot of players go off the board. So we're going to talk about who's still available for the Knicks to possibly pursue within the next, 18 hours? Less than that, right? Maybe something like that. So we're going to talk about those players, go over their contracts, what they're making, and let's see what we can be able to do.
And as always, thank you guys for joining us. And Yo Black, it's time. Let's get it started.
All right. So obviously the Knicks have not really done anything at the deadline yet, ladies and gentlemen. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about specific players that might be on the market, might be on the move. Still some time left for the Knicks to be able to deal. And we're going to bring up their contracts and what have you. So first player I want to talk about is going to be Goran Dragic, ladies and gentlemen. So Goran Dragic is currently on a 1-year deal. Signed $18 million with the Heat 1 year in 2020. And then he had an option that the Heat picked up in order to facilitate the trade for Kyle Lowry, right? So last season he made $18 million. And on his current year, he's making $19.5 million essentially for this current year. At the end of the season, he is an unrestricted free agent. Queen, what are your thoughts about Goran Dragic? What do you think about this move? And how do you think, the Knicks can be able to pull this off?
I can't say it. It depends on what the Knicks are trying to do. If the Knicks are just trying to shred salary, then yeah, bring him in. He'll play out the year. Hopefully you'll have a little cap space to sign somebody that we can address that position a bit better going forward. If we're talking about bringing him in to make the playoffs or bringing him in as part of this rebuild, no, it's not something I would do.
Tony?
All right. So here's a reason why I would do it. Getting him as an expiring contract is great. Hopefully we would be shedding at least Kemba Walker. We don't need to add another guard in the rotation or non-rotation. So if it's moving Kemba, I'm with it. But a caveat is his relationship with Luka Doncic. So now we have a piece that we could potentially use in a double signing trade come this offseason, bringing Brunson in. And we're going to talk more about Brunson later. But as far as a piece for the future, absolutely not. I agree with the Queen. He's not a long-term solution. But strategically, I think there are reasons why we could make this move and it help us long-term.
Yeah, Tony and Queen, I'm with you guys. I don't think this is going to be a long-term thing at all. I don't think a lot of these options that we're talking about, that we're going to be talking about on this show are going to be long-term options. For me, the thing that, I like about Goran Dragic is the expiring contract. Obviously, you want to get $19 million off your books for this season. Right now, the Knicks don't have much coming off their books at the end of the season. Maybe Solomon Hill's $2 million that they cut. Still got to pay him for this season. You have that coming off. But outside of that, the Knicks really. Yeah, and the Joakim Noah thing, but outside of that, you really don't have much coming off your books this offseason. So that would be the incentive for the Knicks to do. I'm not sure if they're going to facilitate a signing trade. I don't think you would have to at that point because you can just sign Brunson outright, right? You would need to do a signing trade to facilitate that. So I'm with you guys. I don't think this is going to be something long term. Maybe just bring him in as a stopgap. Hopefully he can be a point guard to help salvage this season. But I think this season is going to be pretty much done no matter who we bring in for this particular year. So 19 million is a lot of money coming off your books in one off season. So that's the only reason why I would be enticed by something like this.
Right.
But here's the thing, Josh, as well. I think we have 11 million coming off with Joakim or Solomon Hill. There's another guy that we waived that is another $2 million. So I did the math. It's about 11 million. If we use that 11 million that's coming off to re-sign Mitch, now that puts us in the same exact salary cap situation we're in now, but with Mitch on a long-term deal.
But Tony, don't forget about the draft picks. You got to pay your first round pick as well.
That's a
right.
good point.
So I mean, right now the Knicks just don't have any money for this offseason. They just really don't. $11 million. You know, when you include the picks that you have to pay, or at least the first round pick that gets the guaranteed money, you still have to worry about that. So you know, right now the Knicks just really don't have that much space to maneuver. I guess if they want to sign Brunson, they could go over the salary cap to sign him, as long as they stay below the luxury tax. And I think that's what they're going to still attempt to do in the offseason. And we're going to talk about Brunson and other potential options a little bit later on. But the Knicks really just don't have that much flexibility. That's what makes this trade a go right here. And just for some reference, I'm going to bring up the Knicks' current salary cap situation. This is all the players that they have on the roster and what the money is going to be looking like for the next few years. As we go through these players, we're going to bounce what their contracts are going to be for those who are signed beyond this season, with what the Knicks have going on in their cap situation. Also, potential if we want to, you know, bring in a player in this offseason, you know, what those cap implications look like. And I don't have the total number on there, but essentially you can see the Knicks really have a lot of really good contracts, right? To me, these are tradable contracts. Even if we don't make these trades right now, they still can be able to do some stuff, to me, in the offseason. That's what make the most sense. And I think between Fournier and who's that, Miles McBride, that's you know, $18 million is not a lot for one season. Like it's really not a lot, you know, tying your cap down. Like the Knicks don't have any albatross contracts on their books. So essentially, if we let's say we make that trade for Dragic, who would y'all give up? Queen, I'll start with you. Who would you give up in the trade for Goran Dragic?
That's that's a tough question. I mean, I think if we give up Fournier, who are we, you know, in the off season? That's a tough question. We need a point guard. If we can get a point guard and keep Fournier, I would be, you know, that would be fine with me. You know, I don't know if they're interested in a Noel or any combination of Noel or Burks or Kimba. But that's who I would try to move and try to keep Fournier, and then use that cap space in the offseason to go out and get a point guard to address that position. I think if you bring in a point guard and then you take Fournier away, are we that much better? You know,
Right.
I mean, unless you feel Grimes is ready, you know.
That's a
Tony?
good point. I agree, though. I think a Burks and Kimba kind of matches up, pretty close. Yeah, that's about 18 million. Yeah, that's a little over 18 million. So I think that could get it done. We might have to include one of the young guys. I don't know if that deters me, but I agree. On surface, I'd rather keep a Fournier, especially if we're moving Walker, and now we're getting like a full roster position. Like our roster is kind of set, at least for the short term. So yeah,
Right.
I would try to hold on to Fournier, but if they want Fournier, even, you know,
Right.
I might do that either. I mean, as well, because now that's money all the way off the books.
Yeah, so exactly, and for me, that's what makes sense for us to get rid of Fournier. I'm just not a fan of his contract. That extra year in 2023, 2024, I get it. It's kind of team friendly at the end because they can opt into his opt in or opt out of his contract for 24, 25. But I think that's the incentive for the Knicks to probably get rid of Fournier's contract because of that extra year. In regards to Burks and Noel or any one of these veteran contracts that you're looking at that expire next season, I think in order to move that. One, we can do that, making the money work, but I think we'll have to attach a draft pick to it just because Dragic is coming off the books for this season, right?
Or a young guy.
Right. And there's no real incentive for Toronto to go ahead and take on those expiring contracts next year unless they get a pick out of it. So overall, I'm just not a fan of the Dragic move at this point. I don't see any point of it. I mean, if the goal is saving this season, I don't think Dragic is going to do that. If the goal is, potentially getting out of Fournier's contract, I will be with that. The only thing is we have to attach a pick or something to entice Toronto to do it. Same with Burks and the rest of those veteran contracts that we have there. So I'm just not really a fan of that. I really don't think it makes any sense for the Knicks, and I don't think it's going to happen.
Are you opposed to attaching picks to moving Walker? Because essentially that's the way I'm looking at it. If it is a Walker Burks thing, that kills two birds with one stone. It gets rid of Walker one. It opens up a roster spot for the with the 2-for-1 at a position of need where Cam may be able to step up and get some minutes. I think no matter what, I think we do need to figure out some way to utilize Cam and have him fit into this rotation. So the 2-for-1 and attaching the pick to get rid of Walker, I'm not opposed to that personally. But
Well, a first or second rounder?
I mean, maybe 2 seconds, or the Dallas first. I mean,
Nah,
no,
I'm not trading
Yeah.
a first
okay.
round pick just to get to open up some cap space.
I mean, or a roster spot. But
Yeah,
okay,
I think we can use
okay.
it for something better.
Yeah, and
I
I
mean, I'm
think
not
I think it.
opposed to using it though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think in the offseason it'll be easier to move Kimba anyway. I just think right now, you wouldn't, it just doesn't make sense for Kimba's sake because he's gone at the end of next year anyway, right? Fournier, on the other hand, because his contract is so long, I think it will cost a first round pick. And depending on who the player is that we get back in here, depending on the situation, I'll be willing to do that. It just has to make sense for Kimba. I don't think it really makes sense at this point. The next player that I'm going to bring up also has an expiring contract. Next season. So it's just like the Kembas, the Burks, something like that. But he has an expiring contract at the end of next year, and his name is Harrison Barnes, ladies and gentlemen. We've been hearing about the leakings from the Kings organization and the reports out there that they're looking to move on from Barnes, perhaps get younger, perhaps bring in some more young talent in here. Harrison Barnes is currently on a 4-year, $85 million deal that he signed via free agency with Sacramento in 2019. He's on a descending contract. We don't see too many of these in the NBA, right? So 24.2 in his first year, 22.2 in his second year. Currently, he's making 20, and the next year he's going to make $18.4 million. And 2023, he's an unrestricted free agent. Queen, what are your thoughts about Harrison Barnes and the potential Harrison Barnes move?
I don't think Harrison Barnes moved the needle, and in my opinion. So if the Knicks get him, obviously I'm a fan, so I'm going to still be a fan. But I just don't see how he moves the needle for us. Um, next year it's an expiring contract. I mean, I get it. I mean, a lot of our thought process is how can we get expiring contracts to clear the cap? Clear the cap for what? Like, how can we just trade for players that we want? I mean, the Knicks have not done great in free agency. We just haven't, and I don't know why that is. So I'm not a big fan of clearing the cap. We've cleared the cap. I can't tell you how many times we've had money and really hasn't had much to show for it. So, we're trying to get off contracts. For me, I would like to get off a contract and get somebody that I think we can use. If we give up Fournier, do I like Harrison Barnes better than Fournier? I mean, defensively, yeah. If you're starting, RJ and Harrison Barnes, are you better defensively? Yeah, I mean you are. Um, so I mean it's okay. I think it's a slight upgrade. I don't think it's a major upgrade.
Tony?
Oh, man, I love this move. I wish the rumors are unfortunately that they're gonna hold on to him as of right now, but I would pursue this for a number of different reasons. Um, Invaluable asset that he is in the sense that championship experience. That's one thing I think this current roster is missing. I think that's one thing that we're gonna need once we get to the point of contending. We're gonna need experience. Somebody who's been to the mountaintop or already. He has. True professional, not a guy with a big ego as far as wanting to be the man. I think those were the rumors and the rumblings when he was on that championship team in Golden State. But since then, you've heard nothing of the sort. Um, is okay with whatever role he's put in, and then I think he's a Tibbs type of guy. So we get back everything we lost in a Bullock, and you're talking about a guy who's, I believe, averaged around 12 for his career, but has had 17, 15, 14. You know what I mean? So he's going to put up solid numbers. Um, I like it. I do it. The fact that the contract gets lower, so it kind of next year he'll be making what Evans making this year. Um, I do it. Obviously, I don't want to attach a pick, but again, I would include one of the younger guys if that's what it took. And same reason, 2-for-1 trade opens up a spot for a Cam.
So what would be your prototype trade if you had to, if you're in the room with Leon Rose, Scott Perry, and everybody, who are you giving up for Harrison Barnes? Is it a part of a bigger package? Are you doing a 1-for-1? What's the incentive that you're going to offer the Kings?
One of the young guys, like whether it be a Quickly, because I believe Quickly is expendable at this point with the emergence of Grimes. I do Obi if that's the guy they wanted, but I think at that point the salaries don't match completely, so we would have to probably take somebody else back as well. Unfortunately, Mitch is the guy that makes it match up perfectly. I'd hesitate to include Mitch because I think we need to pay him. But if we could figure it out, I do it. But leading with Fournier because that's 18. Now we only talking about another $2 million or so to match.
So I only think this is the right deal for the Knicks if you do a Fournier swap 1-for-1, right? And then you because the contract ends at the end of next season, I think you open up 18 more million on top of whatever amount that we already have for the end of next season. And I think that's the only way this makes sense. But for the Kings, I don't see. I mean, I see a reason why they would take Fournier, no doubt in my mind. But for us, where are we playing Harrison Barnes? We already got Randall. We already got Obi. Like, unless you're getting rid of Randall, I really don't see how this trade can possibly get done without the Knicks getting potentially fleeced in this deal. Harrison Barnes is a contract that's ending at the end of next year. I don't see any reason for us to give up young guys for Harrison Barnes. For what purpose, So I just don't think this is feasible for the Knicks. Now, if this was, 24 hours ago before they made the Halliburton trade, you talk about, Harrison Barnes and Halliburton for Randall and, whatever combination of players, and I would think it would make sense for both sides. But I think at this point, the Kings already just acquired Sabonis. So they're not looking for another power forward. I don't think they're looking for a young guy and Obi Toppin because they have Sabonis there. To me, it just doesn't make sense for the Knicks to go after Harrison Barnes at this point or for the Kings. I really don't see any potential incentive for either team, quite frankly.
You don't think he can move back to the 3 and potentially move RJ to the 2?
I don't think so. I don't see Harrison Barnes being a 3 for one season. I mean, I guess, and theoretically, yeah, it can work for a season, but to give up young guys just for that, I don't like the idea.
Just one.
Well, a young guy would do because we have to make the money match, right? So if you look at go ahead.
Here's the thing though about giving up a young guy. We need to do it regardless because again, we have a young guy in Cam who we gave up a first for who is essentially not getting playing time. So do you think Cam I don't know if Cam is going to play unless we get rid of another young guy. I don't think Tibbs is going to get rid of a vet for him per se. Or again, a 2-for-1 where we got a vet in the Barnes and we open up a spot for Cam. So I think a young guy has to go regardless for Cam to play.
Which one you get up?
Me personally, again, Quickly is falling on my totem pole. I like Grimes that much. I think he plays defense that much better. I think his shot selection is that much better. Both those guys are in shooting slumps right now, Grimes and Quickly. But when Grimes shoots the ball, it looks like it's going in. I don't groan and grunt like, what are you doing? You know what I mean?
Grimes. Oh yeah.
So I think Grimes really makes Quickly expendable at this point. Me personally.
Okay, so you're thinking about a package maybe Quickly, and let's say we got to be able to make this money match. So let's say Quickly and Nerlens, quickly Nerlens.
I mean, quickly and Fournier match.
Yeah. Yeah, but they never have to throw something else in the deal, throw something back our way to make the money, a little bit, maybe one of the other younger players they have on their team, perhaps.
I don't know, because it doesn't have to be dollar for dollar match. I think there's a 10% window of some sort where the numbers don't have to be exactly even. So you talk about 18.1.
Well, not just the numbers. So at this point, we're giving up.
That's 20.3. What was Barnes' number?
Barnes was at 18. But what I'm saying is we're giving up 2 assets.
No, he's at 18 next year. He's at 20.
Right.
So this year it'd be 20, and then 20.3. We would be giving back 20.3, and he's making 20. I don't think we don't gotta take any more salary back, because that 0.3 is within that trade window.
Right.
But you want to give up 2 players for Barnes? Like, I just don't think. And by move the needle, I know we've been talking about it in the chat. Mm-hmm. Just a little bit, step by step, piece by piece, it moves the needle. You get a little better. But I don't know if I want to give up 2 players for Barnes. I mean, he moves the needle some.
Essentially, you're also opening room for Cam. You got that's
Do
why.
Do we know what Cam is, though?
I mean, we won't know what he is if we don't open up a spot for him to play. And the fact that we gave up a first to get him, I think he has to play.
So we give up a first to get him, and then we trade quickly to play him, and we don't even know what we have. I mean, I get it. We do need to see him play, but we could just sit Burks at this point in the season if we want to see him play. I don't think we need to give up an asset to do it. And again, I don't have a problem giving up draft picks. I don't have a problem giving up young players. I just want it to be worth it. I always ask myself, can we have gotten something better with that pick? Can we have gotten something better with that young asset?
Do you think what's more valuable to you, a first or quickly at this point?
They're both valuable. I mean, quickly is struggling right now, with his shot. Don't get me wrong. But is he at the point where he's just a throw-in?
Well, again, I think something has to be enticing to the Kings. And granted, this is not a knock on Fournier, because I think 1-for-1 is a fair exchange. Like, you get it. Like you talk about, it's a long contract, Josh. Yes, but not many people are signing as a free agent to come to the Kings. So I think, just like people say for us to get somebody here, we're gonna have to trade to bring him in while he's under contract. I think the same can be said about the Kings. I don't know if they're bringing anybody in as a free agent. So now you talking about losing Barnes for nothing, or getting somebody that you could potentially move on from if you don't like it down the road, but a productive player. You know what I mean? But again, it's not saying I'm pushing for these moves, but I'm trying to give a perspective of how I would be okay with it. You know what I mean? And again, that's opening. Even if it's not Cam that it's opening up space for, it's giving Grimes more minutes. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, it can go either way. We already know the Kings are not looking too good right now, based on some of the stuff they've done within the past 24 hours. So anything can happen. I just personally don't see it happening, and I don't think it makes sense for the Knicks right now at this moment to go ahead and try getting Harrison Barnes. I would hold off if I'm the Knicks. Right. Moving on to the next player, we're going to talk about someone that we've been talking about for a long time that has ties to the Knicks organization, and his name is Jalen Brunson, ladies and gentlemen. So, look how much money Jalen Brunson is making. Look at those years already. He's been spent 3 years in Dallas. This is his 4th year, the final year of his contract. He signed a 4-year, $6 million with the Mavericks in 2018. The reason why I have that highlighted in blue, ladies and gentlemen, the maximum that the Mavericks can offer Jalen Brunson is 4 years, $55 million based on their current cap situation, right? Right now, they're currently over the cap right now. And basically, the reason why I said the maximum that they can offer is because there's a hard cap in which that they can't exceed, right? Because they have Luka's contract and they have Porzingis' contract. The maximum that they can do for Jalen Brunson is going to be that number right there. I think that's about, what's that, 13? Yeah, around $13 million a year. And I think Brunson can make 15, 16, 17, $18 million a year. In my opinion, I think Brunson can make that money, right? And on the open market, right? So that's the reason why I have that highlighted there. Obviously, he's an unrestricted free agent at the end of this season. I like this trade. If I'm the Knicks, I am still pursuing this until the final hour because I think he solves a problem that we needed for a long time at point guard. Going back to Emmanuel quickly, he's the first person that I thought about when it comes to Brunson, right? He's the first person that I thought about. I think in order to entice the Mavericks to make this deal, I'll go ahead and I'll trade quickly. I'll put quickly in this deal for Jalen Brunson, probably attach maybe a second-round pick or so to try to facilitate it to get it done. The money's going to work out because they make so little, right? But I think the Mavericks would potentially take quickly and their first-round pick back in this trade to get back Jalen Brunson. That was the same trade that was projected on ESPN because now you get a natural point guard coming in here. You got a guy who pretty much, if you sign him, he's going to want to stick around for the next 3 or 4 years. You got your point guard right there. So I would do this deal in a heartbeat. Queen, what do you think?
Of course, I would do it. I don't think the Mavs are trading them and him and quickly and what did you say, a first or a second?
Their first round pick. Basically, they're getting their pick back from the Porzingis deal.
Plus quickly, maybe that gets it. Maybe that gets it done if they feel like they won't be able to sign him. But no question about it. I'm all in on Brunson. I hear people in the chat, he doesn't play defense. He's a backup point guard. I'm all in on Brunson. I think if he's on our team right now, we're in a different place. We're not 2 games behind, I think, trying to get into the play-in. So I'm all in on it. I would even give a little more,
Yeah, and D Public Enemy, I've been for the Brunson trade since day one. So I don't know what you're talking about. I said no to trading for Brunson. I think I'm big on the Brunson trade.
I think you said
John
you did
Kirby,
say
Halliburton wasn't available either.
I think you said he wasn't, like, why give up assets to when you could sign him in the off season at some point.
Yeah, I did say that.
But and that's where I'm kind of torn. Because
do we have money for the offseason to do it?
We can offer more. We can offer more than Dallas. So we know we have the leverage over Dallas in that respect, right? But
it has to be a sign and trade.
Correct.
And that's where ultimately I think Brunson has to make the decision and going to the organization and saying, I am not coming back. Point blank, period. I'm not coming back. And then that kind of forces their hand to say, all right, what can we get for him? If he's not speaking up and saying I'm not coming back, then the ball's in their court because they have no reason to think he won't accept 4 years. What was it?
55 million.
55. They have no reason to think he's not going to accept that unless he tells them ahead of time. You know what I mean? So I think if he wants to be here, he can make himself be here, and all indications are that he kind of wants to be here, or at least that his dad wants him here. So if it happens, it's because he spoke up.
Right.
Yeah, listen, there's no doubt. Jalen Brunson, if we add him, I think he can be the point guard that we need. I truly, truly believe that. Secondary ball handler. You put him out there on the floor, very crafty with the basketball. He can get to the rim a little bit, very crafty around the rim for a small guy. He has heart. He has toughness. He just has something about him. I'm not sure if every people in the chat have watched this guy play, but this guy is, to me, I think is going to be the real deal. He is going to be the real deal. So if I'm the Knicks, I'm looking to see how I can be able to acquire him, probably entice the Mavericks to go ahead and make this deal. Or the Mavericks are going to try to entice us if they know he's not coming back, right? So, if I'm the Knicks, I'm looking to acquire him either via trade or via free agency to see if we can make this happen. So I'm all for this trade.
My question to you guys is, what do you think he's worth in the open market, or what do you think? What is a number that you are okay with? What's your max number for him that you're okay with from us?
I think I'd give him 18. I would give him 18.
4 years, 18 per?
$18 million a year. Absolutely.
I mean, I get it that, for those who say you're taking a risk, but I just think back to Kyle Lowry when we had that
Yeah.
opportunity. You think back to, sometimes you got to try to get guys before they pop. Sometimes you got to look and see, like, if this guy continues on this trajectory, or this guy would be better in our system, and try to pay them before they blow up. Once they blow up, now you're talking 20, 22, 24, 25. So if the Knicks can get them before that, I'm all for it. And I think that he played, he's starting now, but yeah, at one point he was a backup card, but so was Kyle Lowry. So was so many other point guards in this league. So I'm not going to let that stop me from going out and getting a guy who I think could fit and help us.
Yeah, no question about it. And we've been talking about we need a point guard. We need a point guard. We got a guy sitting right there that the ties to the organization are very evident. And I think, we got to make that move if it's there on the table. We just
Can we
have to.
stop
And I'm
saying
willing.
he's coming off the bench and watch the games? He's starting.
He's at the point
starting.
guard. They got Luka at the 2.
Yeah, and when Luka was out for that stretch with his ankle injury, not
20
only
and
did
11.
he start, he produced. And I know because I missed him on the fantasy wire. Somebody got him. Somebody beat me to him. I was checking him out.
So yeah, I think we agree a little bit on Brunson. I'm going to bring up the next person right here, and ladies and gentlemen, please, we're not saying what we think is going to happen and all of this, but we're just putting all the options on the table because everyone's like, Leon Rose, do something. You need to do something right away. The world's going to end. You need to do something. And I'm just putting the options that are left out there, so we can talk about them and break it down. Everybody's not going to agree on them.
They're going to get at you for this one, right? That's your disclaimer.
Yeah, pretty much. John Wall, ladies and gentlemen. Oh. John Wall. Now listen. Now look. Hear me out. Okay. I'm gonna end all of the suspense right now. I'm for this trade personally, but let me go over his contract and I'll let everyone go and I'll explain why in the end. So everyone knows John Wall's currently playing for Houston. Back in 2017, he signed a 4-year, $117 million extension with Washington, with the Washington Wizards. He was on his rookie deal at the time, signed an extension in 2017 that began in 2019, right? 2019, 2020 made $38 million, then went up to $41 million. Currently, he's making $44.3 million. And then next season, which is a player option, he's making $47.4 million. And then in the end, in 2023, he's going to be an unrestricted free agent. Queen, I'm going to have you go first. Mm-hmm. And tell me, what do you think about John Wall? Do you think we can pull it off? Does it make sense? Does it not make sense? What do you think?
If he has one more year on that, take it, he's going to opt in. I think he's going to opt into next year.
Yeah.
Next year is the last year on the contract, right? That's what I'm seeing. If we have an opportunity to get off Fournier's contract, to get off Burke's contract, to get off Noel's contract, Kemba, any combination of those, to get Wall for 1 year and clear cap space. I mean, that was similar to what we were talking about in terms of on Westbrook. We're not talking about long term. We're talking about he'll stay here for 1 year, this year, next year, and then we'll have that space. I still have issues about what the Knicks do with their space, but that's another story. I would do it for that reason. Yes, I would do it because it would clear cap space.
Sorry.
No, because it would clear cap space. And let me just say this. John Wall is not a bad player either. I watched him play in Houston coming back for that injury. Now, they did not play him off of back-to-backs. But when I saw him, he didn't look slow to me. He looked maybe not 100% Wall, maybe 87. I mean, he looked really good. He wasn't very efficient, though, in terms of his shot, but he looked really good. So we're not talking about a bum player here. And for 1 year, I would do it.
Tony?
I agree. I'm right with you. My only concern is something you mentioned earlier about not knowing or understanding why we have been striking out in free agency. So cap space it's a territory where what is the cap space being used for if we can't get the people we want here. Now, on a positive note, cap space can only also be used in a trade in absorbing a contract. So now it's not just enticing someone to come in free agency. Cap space can be used to absorb a contract from a disgruntled star. And then like you said, when he played last year, this year,
Okay.
um, he looked good. He didn't look bad. Maybe not 100%, but I mean, John Wall was so good that 80% of him is
Mhm.
still a legit starter in this league. And I would put him above the next guy that we're gonna go over. So, um, he got Kentucky ties. It, so it kind of fits what we've been doing in the past, using using their personal connections to make the moves that they've been making. And then, worst case scenario, or let me rephrase that, best case scenario, John Wall is not going to command a large contract moving forward. So if he shows that he could be at least an adequate point guard in this league, maybe us taking a chance on him gives us the benefit of him saying, "Hey, I'll sign with you guys moving forward on a small contract, and relatively a lot smaller than what 47 million." So I think I do it, and I think we can make it done without necessarily have to give up draft capital. So maybe even
All
getting
right.
some draft capital.
So again, I mean, I think Queen and Tony hit it on the head as far as the cap space, right? Essentially, what you're doing is you're trading, I want to say 2 or 3 of your expiring deals from next year, and then with Fournier, right, who has the extra $18 million or what is it, $19 million for the following season, right? So the cap space obviously will be there. Obviously, you're not going to sign John Wall for anything more than next season, not to that monumentous contract or what have you. Okay, but and also on top of that, you open up some rotation spots for Cam. You accomplish that part of it, right? I don't see any one of the young players really being in that deal. This is solely for cap situation. The only thing that turns me off about this was 2 things. One, health, right? Health is always going to be a question for John Wall next season. I understand you're not doing it. You're not expecting to go anywhere next year. It's just a bridge kind of deal. So you got to question his health. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing for me is I think the Knicks lose a little bit of their flexibility with this type of trade. Not because the money won't come off the books, but these little $10 million, $9 million, $8 million contracts, you'd have to basically put most of them in this type of trade in order to make the money work, which means that for next season, instead of you're not going to move John Wall's contract
It's
next season.
vet minimums.
Right. You're not going to do that. Right. So you lose a little bit of that flexibility for next year. Right. You're solely going to be banking on free agency. And I think that's what Queen was getting at in regards to all that money coming off the books with one contract. Right. So for me, that will be the reason why I would not do it. But at the same time, I just feel like everyone wants to open up these spaces for some of these young guys to play. I think, there's a pro in it. The money, you get more money coming off the books next season by getting rid of Fournier's contract. There's a pro in it. And I think we can basically pick our direction if that's the case. Our direction will be to go young. We're getting rid of most of the old guys off the roster, and we have a direction at that point with just the lone large contract that's there. And again, just like Queen said, I don't expect John Wall to just go out there and be a scrub. He can play. John Wall can still play. He's not worth $47 million. We all know that, but he can still play. You know what I mean? He can definitely give us something, right? And moving right along to this contract right here, we basically are talking about the same thing. Russell Westbrook, his contract is basically structured the same amount of money here, free agent in the same offseason. Signed a 5-year, $206 million contract with the Thunder in 2018. Now, people want to talk about albatross contracts not being able to be traded. Russell Westbrook was traded 3 times. 3 times. He's made all that money per season, and he's been traded 3 times already, potentially a 4th time if he gets traded by this deadline. So, it's really tough. But for me, it's the same situation as John Wall. I would consider making this trade just for that money, that extra $18 million coming off the books. But I'm gonna have you take it, Tony. What do you think?
again, if we're going that route, I'm going with Wall over Westbrook. A couple days ago, we talked about this behind the scenes, and I'm like, you know what? I think I might do it. That was before we played the Lakers, and after watching him for a full game, um, and thinking about him, RJ, Randall, any one of those guys at the free throw line down the stretch, thinking about the turnovers that we hear the complaints about with Randall consistently, where RJ as his minutes and production goes up, his turnovers go up, and then obviously Westbrook, kind of leading the league in turnovers in the past couple of years as well. I think it's really, really, really. I think that at its worst is worse than a John Wall at his worst. You know what I mean? Like, so if we're gonna do the move, potentially it's gonna cost the same either way. I think I would lean towards John Wall than Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, me
Queen.
too. Yeah, oh, definitely. Definitely. And I like Westbrook. I think he gets unnecessary flack. He's not a winner. All this other type of crap. Maybe on crack, but crap. But I just think John Wall would be a better fit if we had to do it. And again, for those who came to the conversation late, the topic is what is left for the Knicks to do as far as we know if they wanted to do something. And the Westbrook and Wall was more about getting off of, these other contracts and having some cap space, not this summer, but next summer.
Right.
Hey, Charles Dudley, I addressed that. I said I did say yes to Westbrook prior to us playing the Lakers. After seeing him for a full game, I changed my tune. I'm allowed to do that.
So, in regards to Westbrook versus Wall, and I mean the contracts are the same. Essentially, you're doing the same thing, right? You're getting off some of these veteran contracts, opening up some more time in the rotation for the kids to play, all that stuff. But I'm going to take Westbrook over Wall, and I'll tell you why. Westbrook, you're going to get 100% every single night that he goes out there. He is less fragile than John Wall at this point in their careers. Westbrook pushes the pace, which I like, which Wall can do too, but Westbrook just does it at a different level. He's won MVPs off of that, right? Regardless, chat. Listen. Either one of these players you bring in, Wall or Westbrook, you're not doing anything next year anyway. This is just a bridge year to get to that summer of 2023 where you can try to bring in some pieces here. And let's not forget, 2023 is a big free agent year. There's a lot of guys that will be unrestricted free agents, that offseason that we can be able to go out and sign. Bradley Beal comes to mind, some other players, right? So the Knicks knew what they were doing when they signed the Kembas, the Fourniers, and all that in regards to when their contract is going to end, because that's a big summer. That's going to be a big summer around the NBA, a lot of moving pieces, right? So that's the only reason why I'm even considering Wall and Westbrook. For me personally, I just would rather have Westbrook because I like the fact that he pushes the pace. I like the fact that he's aggressive. I like the fact that he gives it his 110% every single play. And I think this team needs an injection of that, sometimes. So that's the reason why we're talking about that.
Yeah, I hear you, Josh, but like somebody said in the chart, he's not very easy to play with.
Mm-hmm.
He's not very easy to play with. And so, yeah, he's running around and he's running really fast and 100%. And that has a lot to do with a lot of these turnovers, But I just think Wall is a better fit. But about 2023, we say this every year, and there's a list of free agents, and then they sign their extensions. All of them don't even hit free agency because they signed their extensions. This past summer, we had cap space. So many people was going to be. What happened? They signed extensions, so less of them were available. And then the Knicks just don't have a great track record in free agency. I think our best bet is to trade for who we want.
Well, Queen, let me ask you a question. So is the alternative holding on to the veterans until the offseason and then doing it that way? Because everyone wants to get rid of the veterans, everyone wants to make space for the kids. And, these are two ways in which we can be able to do that. So I'm just asking.
I am not kid friendly. I am not. I am for continuing the rebuild. Everybody wants to reset. We are still in a rebuild. We've been This is what we've been doing for the last 7 or 8 years. It's just that some of the draft picks didn't work out. Ntilikina didn't work out. Knox didn't work out. But RJ Barrett and Mitch is the fruit of what we have been doing for the past 7. So we're going to do it some more. We're just going to keep doing this and keep. At some point, you got to put your flag in the ground and say, we're going to build here. Now. And that's what they were trying to do. It didn't work out with Kemba and Fournier. It happens. You draft somebody, it doesn't work out. You trade for somebody, you don't work out. You sign somebody, okay. I don't think you need to go back 2 years to fix that.
I'm with you, Queen.
From right here, what's the next step? That's it. What's the next step? So I am not for, we need to get rid of all of these vets and go. Listen, people talk about we losing anyway. I'd rather watch the young people. Trust me, I've been doing this for a very long time.
Oh yeah.
Losing is misery. Whether you watching vets lose or whether you're watching young people develop and you're losing, it's not good to watch that. So if you think you're gonna feel better because they're young, I'm telling you, you're not. You're gonna still be frustrated, and you're gonna still be on the coach. Why we didn't win this game with 3 21-year-olds in the roster, and you still gonna be on the coach about why we didn't win. Come on. If you want to win in this league, you need players that have been doing it game in and game out. And and they talk about vets. Our vets are young. Like, we're not even talking about grizzly vets.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's what you need. You need young vets who've been in this league 3, 4, 5 years and have been productive. That's who we're looking. So when you're saying vets, I'm like, what are they talking about? Fournier he didn't work out. Don't get me wrong. But those are the type of players you're looking for. They've been in the league 3, 4, 5, 6 years. They've produced consistently over time. You bring them in. Stop getting these people at the beginning of their career. You don't know if they're going to continue to ascend or whether they're going to level off. You can have a few of those. We got a team full of players. We don't know whether they're going to ascend or whether they're going to level off. It's too much already. The Knicks got to fix this. Don't get me wrong. They have to fix it. But I don't think going back to the playground with these young kids, because, and I know I'm talking a lot. Let me just say this last thing.
You got it, Queen. No, you got it. You got it. Keep going.
No matter what, even if we go back 3, 4 years from now, we're going to be back in this same. There's no way for a front office to get around what we're dealing with right now. So 4 years from now, we're going to be asking, is RJ that guy? Can he be a number one? He's been doing this for 3 or 4 years. We don't know. What should we do? You're going to be facing the same questions, just a different cast of characters. We just need to work it out from right here, in my opinion.
So again, I'm being halfway serious because I would consider a John Wall and a Westbrook trade, just for that purpose. But I'm just trying to show some of the fans out there the other side of the coin, right? What that looks like, right? Because of the situation that the Knicks are in. So, everyone that says that we need to trade all the vets and do this and do that, these are the options that are available. So what are you guys willing to do? And I think Queen is absolutely right in her assessment of the way Knicks fans, they say, we want to do this. At least I'll feel better this way. No, we're losing because when Randall was out for those 3 games during the protocols and we were barely scoring 80 points, everyone was ready to get rid of every kid that we had on the roster. Every kid. Everybody. So I totally agree with Queen in this. And again, I'm being halfway serious in regards to this Westbrook and Wall thing. So just consider that other part of it to the chat out there. Tony, you got anything else before we go to the next? No,
person? I mean, I agree too. Even with me saying I do the trade for Wall, I know what the reason behind that is more so playing the young guys because free agency is it's not like I've had my hopes up in free agency numerous times and nobody came. We didn't get the guys I was asking for. And we didn't really get meetings with the guys that I wanted. So why go through that when you can continue to build with what you have and maneuver in through trades? But no, we can move on. Move on to the next.
Well, I just want to say one real quick. It's 2 more people that we got. I just want to say one thing to Queen's point when she said that holding out for free agency, right? I disagree with you about that a little bit because you still have to put yourself in a situation where you're going to have that money, right? But in the situation that the Knicks are in, most of those contracts are coming off the books at the end of next season anyway. So, I mean, I get it. You'll get off Fournier's contract. You just add $18 million to what we're already going to have, essentially, right? So that's why I'm more of the patient route instead of just going out to do that. It's just that I wanted to bring up that, because people want to get rid of Fournier and his $18 million, but that's just the alternative in that case. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're liking the content, smash the like button on Knicks and Bruises and on Nothing But Knicks. Smash the like button. Let us know how you feel. We appreciate you guys being there. We got 550 people watching us right now on MBK. I'm not sure about Knicks and Bruises, but we really appreciate the support. We're going to keep giving you the content that you deserve, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on to the next person. We've heard this person's name being mentioned around the trade deadline, partially linked to the Knicks, but there's also been some other teams interested as well. And we're talking about Jeremy Grant, ladies and gentlemen. Now, he's currently on a 3-year, $60 million contract that he signed with Denver in 2020. Detroit acquired him via that signing trade on that same contract. And his contract is very simple, $19 million, currently on 20, and then he makes $21 million next season before he becomes an unrestricted free agent in 2023. Now, another player that expires in 2023, we already have a ton of contracts that expire around the same time frame. What do you guys think? How do you think we can acquire Jeremiah Grant? Because he's on a different level than Harrison Barnes, in my opinion, right? He's much better than Harrison Barnes. We can use him two-way. He can play the 3 and the 4. What would you be willing to give up for Jeremy Grant that makes sense? I'll start with you, Tony, because Queen just went on the whole monologue.
Well, here's the thing.
Hopefully, I get a chance to say something.
It's come out that it's going to cost 2 firsts. So the question is,
or a young player in the first.
They did say that. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's gonna have to. I like him. I like the kid. I think he was right there in that running for most improved with Randall last year.
Oh yeah, no question about that.
I think it's a good problem to have, figuring out like, hey, there's only one basketball and things of that nature. I think he's a team guy as well. So even though he's had that uptake in his development or who he is as a player, I also believe that he's maintained that team aspect of his game. You know what I mean? So he's not going to come in and demand the ball or demand to be the number one guy. I think he could come in and still be a guy. You know what I mean? And then at that $20 million range, he fits right in line with the Fourniers, the Randalls. Like, the question is, I mean, I like him. I do it. The question is he going to be more than just a 1-year rental or a 1.5-year rental? So that's my only question. If it's something that they do and it's going to become a long-term thing, I think it fits right into what we've been doing. Bringing these guys in, taking a chance and hoping that we could all grow together at the same time frame. So I like Grant. I think he could work with or without Randall as well.
Queen?
Yeah, I mean, I think the question for me is the fit with Randall. I mean, both of them are not very efficient shooters. I think defensively, I like him. I like his length. I like his ability to switch multiple positions. And he was somebody that I would like to keep. He's somebody that I have in mind when I think about a young veteran who's been in the league for a few years, and you kind of know what his floor is and what you're going to get. He could still ascend, but you kind of know what his floor is. These are the type of players that I'm talking about. So I've questioned again his fit with Randall, but other than that, I like Grant.
Also opens up the small ball lineup with him at the 4, Randall at the 5. That we might need to use a little bit more. I think that could speed up our transition as well. So I think he can fit with or without Randall, honestly.
Yeah. And I would give up Obi in the first.
So that was my next question. I was going to be like, well, are you going to get rid of Obi Toppin, right? Because then Obi Toppin really, I think, becomes expendable in this kind of situation, right? So Queen is willing to give up Obi. You said you'll give up Obi Toppin in the first round pick. You still got to make the money
A little
match. I would
high
say
though. It's a
another.
little high, but I would do it.
Right, but you still got to make the money match. So you got to find probably 10 to 12 million, right? So we're talking Burks. We're talking because the incentive for Detroit is going to be the young player and the pick, right? So whoever you put in there, one of these veterans, the money will still come off the books at the same time. They'll still have Obi and the pick. So probably Burks, Obi, and a first round pick.
And you might not have to make it match because I believe they have cap space.
Probably, yeah. So
you
there
may
you
not
go.
you may not even have to make it match. They give them the choice of the young guy they want. You know what I mean? Whichever one you want. Let me ask you this, Queen, because you were hesitant earlier. Would you do two young guys and a first? Let's say they want Obi and Quickly.
Oh, quick? Yeah, I might be okay. I might be okay with quick.
So yeah, I think you can make. I think we can make it work.
It's still a lot though. Yeah.
I mean, it is. The thing with us, and this is what I keep stressing. If we get rid of two young guys, we have two young guys to come right in and step in and fill that void. So
I ain't giving up Grimes though. I
don't think the Knicks are. Like the fact that they went with the first rather than Grimes, or they just was like, no, we're not including Grimes in this Cam deal. I think that says a lot about how they feel about him. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that's what I keep keeping in mind, that if we get rid of two young guys, we have two young guys to come right in and fill that spot and be solidified in their rotation.
Shout out to Tutu Azuri.
They've been asking for Mitch, so they may ask for Mitch.
Oh yeah, there you go, Tony. I see. Yeah, I know.
Obi and quickly.
Salute to my man Tuto Azzurri from Italia. He says, salutes all Knicks Paisan. Greetings from my entire rugby team in Italy to all Knicks fans around the world. Salute to you, my brother. Thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate you. And greetings to Italy. I've always wanted to visit there. I've been a West Coast sailor in the Navy. Hadn't had a chance to go to the Mediterranean yet, but I plan on doing it. So definitely, looking forward to that. So yeah, I'm with you guys on Obi. I think you would have to give an Obi top and that kind of deal. Mitch, I think that's going to be the big question. Are we willing to part ways with Mitch now? Like I've been saying about Mitchell Robinson, there's no guarantee Mitch is going to stay here and in free agency. I don't think he's going to do so. And I think to Charles Dudley's point, I think we're about to argue this right now because Tony's not willing to give up Mitch. I am. Because again, I am just unsure about Mitch's status at the end of this season. I think he's going to get paid, and I don't know if the Knicks are going to be willing to pay him what the market is going to set. Tony, what do you think about that? Oh, go ahead, Queen. I'm sorry.
I wanted to know, what are the Knicks in the same boat as the Mavs with Brunson, and that they can only offer him 4 years and I don't know, $54 million, or they can offer him whatever?
No, the Knicks are in a better situation because they have a little bit more before they hit the luxury cap, the hard cap. Because the Mavericks have those two big contracts and Luka and Porzingis, they can't offer that much more.
And Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, and Hardaway Jr. So the Knicks don't have any contracts like that on the roster. So, so that's the thing for me. So, I mean, I know Tony doesn't like that. Mitch is your guy, but again, if Mitch decides to leave us a free agency, we don't.
And all right, so here's the thing: I'm not opposed to trading him because I don't want to lose him for nothing. But if we offer him the extension and he doesn't take it, or if it's something to where we like Mitch, we want you, we want to do it now, we want to lock you up, and he's opposed, or he's telling us, hey, I can't guarantee I'm coming back. I want to test the market, and I'm gonna. Then yeah, I move him because I don't want to lose him for nothing. So that's the difference. If I know or I have an inkling that he may not want to be here, then yeah, I'm gonna get what I could get for him. And really shop him and try to get the best deal. But it feels like he wants to be here. They want him to be here. And they could work it out. And my thing is, don't get rid of him if you're not. If don't Only get rid of him if he's not telling you he wants to be here, or he's telling you he doesn't, or he's not sure. Then you do what you got to do. Get something.
I mean,
But
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty
he's
sure the Knicks
super
are.
valuable.
I'm pretty sure they're doing their due diligence. I don't think they're just going to let that situation, that specific situation, happen. But I just, you have to at least consider it. I understand people are liking what Mitchell Robinson is doing right now. I'm not taking anything away from him defensively and what he can do on the glass, because that's not even a question. My question is the offensive fit. And I think because Mitch can't do anything besides grab rebounds, like his offensive numbers, scoring come from our ability to miss shots. That's not, to me, that's not effective offense. And that's not his fault. Again, I like what he does, but if we can go out and be able to get some better value for that position, for the collective nature of the team, I'll be willing to move Mitchell Robinson. I mean, I'm sorry about that. I like Mitch, but I'm all about collectively as a team. Queen, you have anything you want? Oh, sorry.
And then I think the best value we can get back from is draft capital, because I don't think we're gonna get Mitch production from anywhere else at $2 million. You know what I mean? So that's another reason why it's tough to trade him.
Yeah, but Tony, you mentioned in 2 million. 2 million is not going to be the same next season. We're talking about moving forward, not what we already got.
I agree. I'm just saying, again, that's why I'm only moving him if I know I'm not gonna have him back, because now you get what you can get for him, whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like if you have nothing in your pocket and somebody's like, "Oh, I'll give you $1," that's more than you. You know what I mean? That's more than you had. But that, again, I just, if I know I'm gonna lose him for nothing, yeah, I take what I can get, whatever it is. 2 seconds, a first. But when we talking about equal value, you're not going to get that in return, because there's not many people that give you what he's valued at for that money. You know what I mean? So I think the most valuable thing you can get in return is some type of draft assets.
Well, this is what I'll say about Mitch and his offense. I agree. As of right now, what we've seen over his young career, he's not great offensively. If you're not great offensively, be elite defensively. And he has that potential from what we are seeing. I mean, he's playing with force. I mean, we talking about potentially 12 points, 12, 13, 14 rebounds, 2 block shots a game, changing things. That's significant. That's significant. So I don't think his offense is that big a deal if he's going to be a demon on the defensive end, really changing things for us. The question is, does that continue once he gets his money? I'm just bringing up the question. I'm not saying that he's going to stop, but we have seen it many times before. So
shout out to 1975 Jamrock. He says, "What the hell is Josh talking about? Josh clearly has not been watching the Knicks. Randall struggles to finish over athletic bigs. That has nothing to do with Mitch at all." I didn't mention Randall at all. I didn't mention Randall at all today. What I'm saying is collectively for the Knicks offense, when the game slows down, when we're not running and the game slows down, we settle for jump shots. And we have literally no other way. Now, if we can run a little bit more, pick up the pace a little bit more, I'm fine with keeping Mitch, because I think that, we'll score more points in that fashion. But when the game slows down, we just got to be able to, one, knock our shots down, and two, if we're not doing that, being able to get to the paint, get to the hole, and do something down there. Now, if Mitch had some sort of offensive game where you can go to him with a move, maybe step out 15 footer, you know what I'm saying? He can still learn that. I would feel a little bit different, but right now he just doesn't have it for me. Not saying I don't want him on the team, because I think he's very valuable, like Queen and Tony's saying, but offensively, I just don't really see it right now. And there was another comment that I seen here. I can't find it right now, but I guess we'll get to it later. Go ahead, Tony.
Why are you looking for that? One of the reasons I'm not as worried about Mitch and it being the whole contract year and things of that nature is because we've seen glimpses of this throughout his 4 years here. You know what I mean? So it'd be one thing if this was his third contract. He never really showed this before. or it was like a Jerome James thing where he had one good playoff series and now it's in a a free agency year, and then I'll be a little bit more paused. But the fact that he's still so young and he showed these glimpses throughout his tenure here under different coaches, mind you, you know what I mean. I think he's still gonna continue to develop. And like I said, maybe 2 years ago, if he doesn't develop offensively, he has that elite defensive potential, and the fact of what he does offensively is enough to make him a 10, 12 year pro. You know what I mean? Like, so I, I'm not as concerned about it being a contract year for Mitch in particular. Still young. He showed this over the, in spots over the years. And to me, he's just getting better, getting better, getting better. If he was an older guy, I have a lot more pause. Like, all right, older guy might not get another contract after this one. Like, let's not overpay for him or expect him to continue this growth.
And shout out to Bayside Junior. He says, if Jonas Valanciunas makes $15 million a year, is he better than Mitch? Yeah, he's better than Mitch. Yeah, and that's no disrespect to Mitch. Jonas Valanciunas is a really good player. He's going to go out and he can go out and get you 25 on some nights because he has an offensive game, right? He's going to rebound the basketball. He's going to be, he's a threat out there from the floor. Shout out to Dre Day with the super chat. Thank you for the $5 super chat. He says, but from the offseason videos I've seen, Mitch can actually shoot. I just don't know why the coaches won't let him shoot it. I don't know. That's a good question. I might going to defend Tibbs. I don't know what Tibbs is thinking and what he's telling Mitch to do. But I feel like ultimately that stuff is going to come out at some point, and I just haven't seen any of it. I seen him make the one little move to the rim, but I need to see it. Show me something, Mitch. Take it.
He made 2 moves to the rim.
Yeah, I just need to see more.
No, I agree with you, but just like those 2 moves to the rim, I don't think it has to do with, the coach not letting him. I think at some point he's going to have to take it upon himself. Just like those two moves to the rim. That wasn't a play called for him. That wasn't an action that it was like go to Mitch. It was Mitch actually reading a situation. Like, oh, yeah, not guarding me. Let me put the ball on the ground, do a finger roll. Oh, yeah, not guarding me. Let me put the ball on the ground and go for a dunk attempt. So that and again, I'm the Mitch guy, but that's on him. He's gonna have to read the defense, take it upon himself. Oh, y'all not guarding me. I can't, y'all double teaming somebody who don't have the ball. I'm open. I got to shoot it. So that whether the coach is saying don't shoot, there's going to come a time where that becomes a liability and you have to put it on the ball. I mean, put the ball, you got to put it up. Similar, and I'm not calling him a Ben Simmons, but it's the same thing with Ben Simmons. At some point, you can't live your career not shooting
people honest and
then the people knowing you're not going to shoot it. So right. I think it's on him, and one day we're going to see it. We're going to see it one day. It might be a shot clock. It might be because he don't want a shot clock violation and he got to put it up, but we're going to see it once. And once we see it once, I think it'll become more of a habit or something we see.
But I think his free throws is a concern too. Like 51% from the free, that's just not going to cut it. And right. That gives me a lot of That make me feel confident in his ability to shoot.
That is a fact. That is a fact. But look, you see how OB be putting them up, and sometimes it don't hit the rim. Sometimes it's under the rim, over the rim. I mean, that's the mindset. You gotta look at that and be like, hey, if he got, he got the green light. I got it. You just gotta do it one time, and then when God forbid it go in or hit the rim. You know what I mean? Like, that's a confidence booster for a guy that never took it. You know what I mean? Now, if it goes the other way and it's over the backboard, you're probably not going to see that shot taken again.
Right. So yeah, I mean, listen, we can go all day about this. We like Mitch. I think we all do. We just disagree about how we will go about it. And moving forward, what have you. And finally, the last player that we're going to talk about in regards to what the Knicks can do is a player that I'm pretty sure everyone in the chat would like to have here. right? We're going to talk about his contract a little bit because it is a little bit confusing at first glance, but I'm going to break it down for you, ladies and gentlemen. And obviously, he can't be traded at the deadline, so that's the reason why I saved him for the end. He can only be traded or starting sometime in March or so, which makes the offseason, possible. And that's Malcolm Brogdon. Now, Malcolm Brogdon signed a 4-year, $85 million deal with Milwaukee that they then used in a sign and trade for Indiana to acquire him. So Indiana set the terms of that $85 million contract. Right now, he's currently in the midst of that $85 million contract, making $21.7 million a year. But earlier or this past offseason, they signed him to an extension, which kicks in 2023 and ends in 2025, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this is Malcolm Brogdon. If we somehow make a move for Brogdon, we would have him under contract for at least the next 3 years if we do it in the offseason, right? Talk to me about Malcolm Brogdon. Queen, what you think?
I gotta be consistent with these injury-prone players, man. I gotta be consistent. I mean, I was okay with John Wall. It would have just been 1 year. I like Brogdon's game. Injury history aside, I like his game. I like his size. He's solid. He's not like a dynamic like a Russ or a Wall or a Lillard, but he's solid. He plays good defense. He initiate the offense. He's not a great, playmaker. I like him. I like him. But every time you turn around, he's just out. He's just out. If it wasn't for the injury history, I would be all in on Brogdon. This is the type of guy. Brunson is shorter than him, but I feel like would be okay for the Knicks. Just a solid point guard that you can count on game in and game out.
Tony?
I like him as well. My question becomes, which guy is it cheaper to pursue? Him or Brunson? You know what I mean? I kind of put them in that same kind of category. I think Brunson's a little smaller, but I think they kind of do the same things. And then when you weigh in the injury history, and it's never anything like catastrophic, but he's like, he's going to miss 15, 20 games a year. You know what I mean? So that's what if the other guy is a cheaper option in Brunson, I think I go the Brunson route. But I like Brogdon as well. But again, if I got a choice between the two, I think I'm leaning towards Brunson over Brogdon.
Are they both healthy? If they're both healthy,
but do you ever know?
Right.
That's the
no,
thing.
I know.
I'm including the speculation of health.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like healthy, absolutely. And I think his price tag is not that high. And then the other thing I consider is, am I getting Brogdon or am I getting Brunson a little cheaper? Is he going to be a little cheaper? If he's a little cheaper,
younger, to me, Brunson's going to be cheaper and younger.
If he's cheaper and younger, then I'm going with Brunson, especially with no injury concern.
Right. Once you throw that in, that tips the scales. But if they're both healthy, I would go with Brogdon. And I really, really like Brunson. But if there was no injury concern, I would go with Brogdon. I just like his size. I don't think he's as good a playmaker as Brunson. And not that Brunson is off the charts as a playmaker either. I just like his size, his defensive ability. No injury history, I would go with Brogdon.
So, and this is what I forget about Malcolm Brogdon. He's a member of the 50-40-90 club, so he can shoot it. I totally forgot about that with Malcolm Brogdon, right? And I'm looking at his extension numbers, 22 and a half. It's not that much money, for what we need him to do. I mean, and Steph, you say it all the time, go get the guy that you want. Is this the guy that we want? And, I'll be happy as hell if we take Brunson. I'll be happy as hell if we take Malcolm Brogdon, to be honest with you.
Right.
Both guys, I think, feel a need and can fill a need for the next 3 seasons, but potentially 4.
Easy.
If you sign Brunson easily. No question about it.
You know who he kind of reminds me of? And I'm probably showing my age with this, but the point guard for the Cavs, Andre Miller.
Play for the Nuggets too, yeah.
That's who he reminds me of. just solid. You know what I mean? All across the board.
Right. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was.
I think I know between Brogdon and Brunson. So Brogdon's already under contract, so you would you would have to give up more for Brogdon and a deal, right? Compared to Brunson, who right now is currently making what $2 million or what have you. So you wouldn't have to give up as much in that deal, right? For Brunson. Brogdon, even though you have to trade some pieces for him, you know what you're gonna get. His money's not going up or down. 22.5 for the next 3 seasons, right? Fills a need. I think Brunson is a little bit more dependable. I forget the word that you use. Durable, right?
Yes, durable.
Right, a lot more durable. It's tough, but I think personally, I think Indiana signed up to that extension because they intend on holding on to him. If they didn't intend to doing that, they probably just would have let his money expire at the end of next season and look for suitors. But I think Indiana, we're talking a lot about Indiana and what they're going to do. I think they might be looking to hold on to him, or they just got Halliburton, so who knows?
Right.
Who knows what they'll do?
I think they move him. I think they move him. I can't see them both playing. I think you kind of got to start Halliburton making that move. But I mean, who knows? But I think he becomes available, and I think his asking price may not be what it was prior to the moves they made. They're almost in like a fire sale type of situation right now, so you might be able to get him cheaper than earlier this year or last year.
Nick, listen, we watch Jalen Brunson. Yes, he does play.
Played the Knicks.
Yes, he played the Knicks. And D Grant, he is not playing behind Luka. He's starting. Jalen Brunson is starting, and he is balling. I'm telling you, like he can ball. I'm telling you, this kid Jalen Brunson is no joke. No joke at all. They rave about him in Dallas. I've watched a lot of Dallas podcasts, and their reporters, they know how important. Mark Cuban knows how important Jalen Brunson is to what they're doing. They're not going anywhere. I mean, they're not winning the championship or nothing, right? But him and Luka are good friends, even. I heard them talk about that, right? So, people, don't be sleeping on Brunson.
And it's not just the talent, it's the mentality, it's the approach, it's the ability to get people to. I mean, look what we see in the difference between last year and this year. You can argue that we're more talented, but that chemistry is not there. That glue is not there. He's somebody that not only can play, but he's that glue guy as well. He brings more than his stats to the game. Let's put it that way.
And no ego.
Yeah. Real quiet guy, goes, puts his hard hat on, his boots on, and goes to work every single night. So definitely consider that. So last thing we want to talk about. So we obviously show you some of the players that are available or potentially going to be available before tomorrow's deadline. What do we think the Knicks are going to do? What do you want them to do? And how do you think it's going to play out for the immediate future in regards to this deadline and the players that we're bringing back? I'll start with you, Tony.
I think I do believe a move is going to be made. Excuse me. I understand everything you said earlier, Queen, about open up. You don't think we should have to open up a spot for Cam. I don't think we necessarily have to do it before tomorrow 3 p.m. But I think between now and coming into next season, I think something has to be made because otherwise this might be a black eye on the front office as far as giving up a first for a guy that who's not going to be in the rotation short or long term future. So I think something has to be made. Some type of move has to be made to open up some type of. It don't have to be a starting spot. It don't have to be 30 minutes a game, but he has to get some type of rotational minutes from giving up a first. So I do think a move is going to be made. I do think they're leaning towards moving one of those guys, Fournier, Burks, one or two of these guys, Noel and Kemba. And I think it's going to be some type of a 2-for-1 situation where it may even open up some time for Deuce. With if Kemba's gone, and I'm not opposed to that. So that's what I'm thinking. I think something has to be done though for real. staying pat, it's gonna be a lot of nicks and bruises going forward. Good content for me.
Yes, sir. Queen.
I mean, to Tony's point, real quick, you can open up space without a trade. You could just sit Burks and sit Kimba. You don't have to trade and do something unfavorably with this push that we got to get Cam some time. Just sit Burks. You know, if it's that important. As far as the Knicks, I want the Knicks to improve the team. I don't want them to do anything hasty. You know what I mean? So I don't. When they make a move, I want them to make it with next year in mind. You know, just the entire direction of the team, not just this year. Oh, we just want to get to the play in this year. Make a decision that's going to upgrade this roster for this year and
In
next
the
year in
future.
the long term, like another piece, another step. I keep saying step by step, piece by piece.
Hmm.
And if they can't find that, then you can't find it. What I'm hoping is that the Knicks are not becoming Boston 2.0, where you're just sitting on these assets and there are trades to be made, but you're afraid to pull the trigger because you're waiting for something else and you're hoping this comes through. I hope that's not the case. But yeah, I mean, just do something that improves the team. But if you don't find it, I'm okay just staying pat.
For me, we got to kick Kemba Walker out of here. We got to get Kemba Walker out of here. And it's not just because he's not playing that well. I just think that he just doesn't fit. I think I would rather see Kemba Walker, get waived. I'll eat the money if we have to. I mean, I would just get him off the roster. I would do it that way. If we can't find a trade partner for Kemba, I think that will open up some room in the rotation for Cam. But I agree with Queen also. Tibbs has to want to play these guys. Tibbs has to want to include them in the rotation. And to me, it's a huge red flag that the report out there that Tibbs was not all on board with the front office going out to get a player like Cam Reddish. We gave up a first-round pick for him, and now we still can't find some time in the rotation for him. We have to make a trade in order to have that happen. To me, that just spells a lot of problems. So we got to try to figure that out first, in the short term. Buy out Kemba, have him go on the waiver market, the buyout market, have him go play somewhere else, and let's open up a spot that way. Mind you, Derrick Rose is coming back, so he's going to need a spot to play in the rotation. So hopefully we can be able
he got a spot. His spot is cemented.
yeah, and hopefully we can be able to move. I want to say two of those guys, like you said, Tony, move them, try to get something back. Maybe Harrison Barnes. But if we do something like that, then we're probably going to have to attach a pick to it just to make it happen, because essentially that's what the Kings have in Harrison Barnes on his contract already. So I don't know. The Knicks really have like a little glut there. It would have made sense if they would have pulled off the Halliburton trade. Obviously, that didn't happen. But Kemba, for me, that's where it starts. So we got to be able to find a way to get Kemba out of here, open it up, and then go about it that way. So I'm hopefully it happens. We'll see. We'll see.
And then my final question is, if no moves are made going forward with within the next 12 or so hours or whatever it is, do you consider it a black eye for the front office, and do you think the season is done?
Can I go first? Please let me go first.
Absolutely.
The season been done. So let's just get that out the way. I don't care who we bring in here at this point in the season. The season been done for me, right? Yeah, we can make the playing game. I don't know if that's like a moral victory or whatever, but the season been done in my opinion. No, I don't think it's a black eye for the front office, because if you can't find the right move out there, just be patient. You can wait till the offseason and get rid of some of these and get rid of some of these veterans. Open up some space for Cam next season if you want to go about it that way. There's no need to do it right now. I don't see really the purpose. What, we're gonna bring Cam Reddish in here and all of a sudden make the playoffs? No, I mean he's gonna be a sticker. He's gonna be here for another season, right? So that's more than enough time to see what he can do and see if we're gonna be able to keep him long term. So I'm not in a rush for the Knicks to do anything right now. I mean, yeah, I do want to see them get rid of Kemba. Try to open up some space for Cam. But if it's not there, I mean, don't force it. If you have to, cut Kemba and then just finish out the season and then wait till the offseason when guys that have a little bit more trade value because they're expiring before you make some moves. But you don't have to make anything gung-ho right now at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. I don't think the season is over. I think even the Knicks are 2.5 games out of the 10th spot, and they're playing better. There's a lot of other teams that's playing terrible, which is kind of holding that margin
Mm,
for the Knicks, so it's not
good
running
point.
away from us. If the Knicks get into the 10th spot and they play their way into the playoffs, it's not a lost season, you know. And together with that, it's a front office call in terms of playing the young guys. You can't ask a coach who's how well he's perceived or he does is based on wins and losses to tank and just play young people and forget about the season because we're 2.5 games out of 10th place. A coach is going to play to win because he know he's going to be judged on his wins and losses, right? So in terms of just going young, the front office would have to come down and say, look, this is the direction we're going in. As if we're not mathematically eliminated, that's different. Then a coach may do that. But you can't ask a coach who's going to be judged on wins and losses, put the young people in and don't worry about winning and losing. You can't ask a coach to do that. So I think the Knicks still have a chance to get in the play in. What that says about us, that's a whole other that's a whole other conversation.
Just
But
optics
that
at that point.
right, but
Yeah,
that opportunity is there, and they have been playing better, just not good enough to win.
and I'll let you do those super chats in 1 second, but I just want to let a lot of these people know that when we say play in, let don't think that that's the end all be all, or we're happy, or we're saying play in game is a success, but
Right.
that is an opportunity to still make the playoffs. So we're not
Yeah.
saying play in and then lose it and then go home and
Right.
hey, we made the play in. No, we're saying
Right. Right.
play in is still a opportunity to make the playoffs, and to me that is successful still if you make the playoffs through the play in. That doesn't take anything away from them, in my opinion.
Salute to 1975 Jim Rock. He with the $2 super chat. Thank you so much. He said, "Would we have thrown two first at Sacramento for Tyrese Halliburton as a third team?" No, no, I'm not. No, simple as that. No. And let me get down to the second super chat. Kaiser So say I got you. Here we go. He says Randall extension sabotaged the Knicks front free agent market before it started. Teams didn't want our vets because we overpaid them, not just Randall. Season's over. So I don't think Randall's overpaid. You want me to pull up Westbrook's contract again? And John Wall's contract? Overpaid. That's not overpaid. He got
He doesn't.
4
He
years,
doesn't even. He doesn't even hit 30 million at the end of his contract.
Right.
just
And the
come
other vets
on.
are making 10 million. How is that overpaid?
Yeah, I don't understand it, Kaiser Sose. I mean, you my guy, but I just really don't understand that. Thank you for the super chat, though. We really appreciate it. Just highlight Joel's comment. He says, Josh, you're wrong again. Why would you waive Kemba if his salary was still in the Knicks cap next season? I'll put Bishop and try to trade them in the summer. Okay, that makes sense, but same thing applies to all the rest of the veterans. Why are you trading them? Right? I mean, so essentially, if the Knicks don't do anything, it's okay, right?
No, I think he was saying waive because if you waive him, you're still paying him. So trade, I don't think.
Okay.
So he's just saying waive, but
Okay. I mean, that makes sense. I see what you're saying, but I just, if the Knicks really like Kemba a lot, waive him, and the money's coming off the books next season anyway. So I mean, you're not really $8 million. To me, that's not. It's not
Yeah,
that
we was
much. Now,
paying Joakim Noah that anyway. Just
right?
replace just replace it.
sure, yeah, we playing him to not be here.
And Kaiser Sose continues on. He says the play-in is a participation trophy. A blind person can see this team has zero chance to win a series in the playoffs.
It's
But
not a
does that mean you
series.
don't?
Right, go ahead.
Yeah, but does that mean you don't want to make the playoffs or at least try? I mean,
Are you gonna say, "Oh,
try.
I'm the 10th seed," but you know what? I'm not gonna play this game because I don't, or I'm not gonna, 10th seed. We're out. We forfeit our game, so the next
Yeah.
team could advance. No, we're
But
gonna try to make
something
it.
that's missing in this conversations about why do you want to just get the 10th seed? Why do you just want to? What's missing is what basketball is all about. The number one rule of basketball is you play to
To
win.
win the game.
That's the whole game is built on that. Nobody goes into a season, how are you going to sit there and tell your team, listen, why are we even playing for the 10th seed? What are we doing here? Listen, like y'all just chill, y'all just relax, y'all just go out here, do whatever. Nobody is going to tell their team that. You're trying to build a culture, you're trying to play to win. You got to build championship habits before you even have a championship team. So the
Yep.
idea that you're going to tank, the idea that, we losing anyway, just play. Who does that? It's a culture. You can't forget that part. It's not just somebody sitting in the room playing the percentages and then running down the tibs and say, oh, this is the better percentage for us to get this draft pick. You're playing to win.
Right. Yeah, and that's what the fans tend to forget. I think we've been used to losing for so long that, sometimes that's all we know how to do. Right. So, I don't, I really don't understand that at all.
Not only
and
that,
wherever you end up is where you end up, and you build off of that.
That's right. That's right. We've been losing for so long that us fans have been used to looking into the lottery and looking into who's upcoming in the draft, and that it's not time for that yet. It might be coming, but it ain't time yet.
So let me.
We've done that too. Let's stop acting like we 1 year into we've been a mess for 7 years. We got RJ out of that. We got Mitch out of that. But there's a lot of other players that we've drafted, Ntilikina, Knox, that haven't worked out. Stop acting like we're not doing what these other teams are doing. We've been doing it for a long time. Last year was the first year where it seemed like we've made a step. All right, little step back, if you will, this year. Hopefully another step forward. But we've been doing the same thing, losing and getting draft picks. We not new to this.
And if I say so myself, we skipped a step last year, and that's where all this controversy and turmoil is coming from.
All right, one last question, guys, because we got to get to the NBA report. They about to get on right after us. So, ladies and gentlemen out there, please smash the like button. Let us show us your support. We really appreciate it. We had over 550 people in the chat today watching
Appreciate
us.
you.
Please smash that like button. We really appreciate what you guys do. One final question, guys. Tibbs, where do you guys stand on Tom Thibodeau? I'm just going to be quick with it. I think Thibodeau's coaching for his job right now. If him and the front office are not on the same page, I think you got to move on from Tibbs. I think for the organization's sake. What do you guys think?
I disagree, and I think they are on the same page. I talked a little bit about this with Sim yesterday, and he actually mentioned that particular comment from you. He said it's been on your mind, but I think they are on the same page. I think that's a misconception. I think they actually lean on each other on all different aspects of the what they're doing. I think Tibbs has the front office experience, even though it was only a year or so, but I think Leon confines in that and uses that and uses that experience that Tibbs has had in that position already. I think they're on the same page. I think they work like a little triangle. They run it by each other and they say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And maybe it goes to the point like, hey, the rumors of Tibbs wanted Fournier. All right, we got you, your guy. We weren't too sure about it, but that's who you wanted. We got him. But we think Walker might have an opportunity. So I know you don't like him that much, but we're gonna do this move on our half. So you know what I mean? I think it's like a system where if two guys say it and one says two guys say yes, one says no, they go with the two, whichever two it is. So I think they're on the same page. I think that's a misconception personally. And as far as the hot seat, I don't think he is. And I don't want this guy gone. We need a coach to finish his full contract. I'm tired of this. Pay a guy for 3 out of the 5 years and then bring a guy in. Now we're paying 3 guys in 1 year. you know what I mean? Like, I think that's bad for culture. So let a guy finish out his contract. And I think our next coach is on the roster now already. Is on the staff now already. So let him wait
I
his
hope
turn.
not, because he don't have no coaching experience. But
I mean, this might be it. This might be it.
head
You
coach.
know what I
of
mean?
team, that's what I'm
The
saying.
learning, you got to start somewhere. But
Yeah, not with we. Listen, all right. I do think they're on the same page. I think just because you don't get everything you want doesn't mean that you're not on the same page. I think they are on the same page. I think that the Knicks front office want the Knicks to win because otherwise they would have told Tibbs play the young guys. Don't think that Tibbs is going rogue and doing what he wants to do, and the front office is not behind it. They are. I don't think he should be fired. No matter what coach we bring in here, you're gonna find fault in him. There is no and hopefully her. There's no perfect coach. There's no perfect coach. We knew who Tibbs is. Why fire somebody for being exactly who you knew he was and exactly who you hired him to be? Unless you're going in a different direction. That's a different story. I agree with Josh. This is about culture. You can't just 2 years get so impatient with a guy. Bring the next person and bring no. Then we gotta sit through it and we gotta work it through. Just like a marriage, you got to work it through. At the first
that's
sign of adversity, you can't just be like, "Oh, we're gonna get a divorce or we're gonna break out."
that's
No, we
exactly
got
what
to
I was
work
gonna
it
say.
through. You know?
Compromise. Marriage
Right?
is about compromise. So,
Yeah.
like, that's what I say. We accepted your guy you wanted. All right, so
Right.
now we're gonna bring in my guy. You gotta compromise.
Yep.
All right, well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We really appreciate you for tuning in with us. Please stay right here on the NBK Network. Right after us, we got the NBA report coming up right after this with Ron and John. They're going to break down some of the stuff that's going on in the Eastern Conference. Continue the trade talks, right? Continue to talk about what might be happening as we approach closer to the deadline tomorrow at 3 p.m., I believe it is, right? Thursday at 3 p.m.,
Yep.
The NBA trade deadline. So, again, stay tuned. Hopefully, Knicks are going to be able to make something happen so all you fans can calm down just a little bit. Calm down just a little bit. Tony, Steph, thank y'all for joining us. We'll see you on the next episode of the Crossover, ladies and gentlemen. And we are gone. Peace out.
All right.